Hello, hello, everyone. Let me get our. There she is.
Hey, hi, my love. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm looking to see is my light okay? Because it's like a little cloudy today. Lighting is not so
I
great, but
know
uh,
this weather's like crazy, but I see you. I see you fine. You look good. Yeah.
awesome. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing? I see Steve there already.
Yeah. We have all our peeps joining, so we'll give them
Woohoo!
a little bit to join us. And while we do that, for just to give an intro to everyone that does not follow the reel and is just getting on this because of, hey, Dolly, um,
Valerie.
Steven, woo!
Woohoo!
Giovanni just joined us.
Hi,
Mr. Loan
Giovanni.
Officer just joined us. So
How is
I'm
that?
excited for this session. I think it's definitely a topic that a lot of us need to know more about. And we kind of just push through, right? So just for everyone who's joining, my name is Aileen Yambo. I am a realtor with RE.A.L, and I'm also a co-founder of the R.E.A.L project. And for those of you who do not know what the R.E.A.L project is, it's real estate professionals empowering all lives. Our mission statement is to educate and develop the community at large with all of our real estate resources. And while Yudy is not in the real estate field, she is a resource to us because she's going to make sure that we are mentally ready to be in the game and make that money. So Judy, please introduce yourself to everyone so that they know who you are.
Well, actually, I have to make a correction. I do feel now that I'm part of the real estate.
This is true. This is true.
I'm a coach. I'm not a realtor, right? So I'm been coaching, but I've been coaching realtors in the last 5 years. That it just became my niche, and part of it was because of the need. There is a need. A lot of my realtors that come to me, they do have already like business coaches, right? So it's not lack of coaching, but it's the kind of coaching, right? And so the coaching that I provide is more. First of all, is self-development, mindset, but also developing a culture of self-care, like taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, becoming aware. Like we're going to talk about today about the triggers, like what causes stress, what are the triggers. And that is extremely important because usually triggers are caused by fear. And so if there's any, let's say right now we're going through a market shift, right? We're sort of like hoping to get out of it, but we're still feeling the effect. And that can be very stressful, right? That can create a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear. And then it's like, how do we manage that?
Right. Right.
So I'm a coach.
So
I coach people to become basically having a life that where they feel satisfied. So we check not just professionally, but personally, relationship related, family related, that kind of great stuff.
right. And I mean, it's true. Like when I first met Judy, I have been through all the coaching. I had a coach, I had all the training, all the real estate training. And there was just a block, right? And I didn't know what that was, right? I knew everything. I knew what I had to do. I knew all the scripts and I knew all of that stuff, right? But it was more, right? It was personal. It was something deeper that a regular business coach is not going to touch because that's not their forte,
Mhm.
right? Um, so if any, everyone who's on, if you are a the real member, you do get a coaching session with Judy for free. So make sure to reach out to her. Again, use our resources. We're here to help you, and try to help you make more money. And let's get this started. So we have a few. We have Amy on here.
Huh,
We have
I
Joel
can
on
see a lot
here.
of clients are already in. A lot of
I
my clients are
know
watching.
we have a great crew here. So,
Okay.
stress, right? So what is it? How do we know that we're stressed? Like, what? Give us a little input on that.
So, first of all, based on the National Institute of Health, stress is a normal reaction. It happens as a human go through challenges in life, meaning stress is a normal reaction. It's a physical reaction. It's an emotional reaction. It's involved a lot of mental, thinking and so forth. The challenge is like anything in life, right? Is when you're experiencing like too much of it, then your body don't know how to deal with it, and then that's when we have the breakdowns. That's when we have, the stress is something that is not just emotional or mental. It's a physical reaction. Like some people have like palpitations, some people have pain, like they feel different pains in the body. They think that they're sick, but in reality is that they're exhausted, right? And so things symptoms to look for is the inability to stop thinking. Like there is overthinking that takes place. It's like something is small, we make it like huge, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so people feel exhausted. Some people experience burnout. Um, Another thing with stress is because some people are so prone to it, like they're going through stress every day, that now they made it like normal, like the stress, like I said, it's normal. But when you experience it in a way that is just out of control, then it's not normal anymore, right? So but people
Right.
have realized those things. Like if you ask them, they're like, oh, I'm stressed out, like they're like losing
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Like I definitely know some people like they're always stressed out.
Yeah.
Always.
And so that part is not normal. That part we need to like. So how do we know? Well, basically, what is a normal stress? Like for instance, you can be okay, and like for some women who have children, like you receive a phone call from school. Of course, if something happened to your child, like that's gonna create a stressful reaction. Like that's a normal reaction, right? And
Right.
anything business is like say a deal is going through, and if for any reason it doesn't happen, that's going to create a reaction. But now if you're stressed about like like everything in life, about what people are thinking, how social media, like know how many likes you have, if you're stressing about like constant stress, overthinking, like how we're going to pay the bills, which is a legit concern.
Right.
Yes, but the problem is that when you're overthinking, then all that energy that I call creative energy going to waste, instead of like putting that into productive means, and say, okay, how can I, right,
Right.
make to pay the bills? You see that? So it's the problem with excessive stress is that's going to paralyze you, and that's a real challenge. You see?
Right. Right. Like, and I also feel like with realtors, or I want to say anyone in the sales
But
industry,
more that I coach a lot of realtors, so I see that more with
yeah,
realtors.
like
All
that
right.
our industry, it's not for everyone,
Right.
right? It's a stressful industry. But I do feel that when when we don't have our business plans out, or we don't have like some kind of structure in our business, and we're just dealing deal to deal, where every deal is like life or
Like
death,
vital.
it, right, it becomes like just it's and I want to say that's probably why a lot of realtors don't survive the industry, right? Because every deal, I mean, I've had deals where we go to the closing table and we can't close. For someone who's that's their only deal for that, month, or that the last past 6 months, that's very stressful. So
And
what is it that we can
it's a
do?
little stress,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Like it's a legitimate stress. So like what is it that we can do to kind of minimize that, right? We can't change the result, right? Because it's what it is, but what is it that you see that we can do to make it better?
Well, first of all, it's understanding, like you said, like you have a plan in place, but then, like if you're not working toward your plan, and if you don't have, like, for instance, it's, like I know, for instance, a lot of realtors, and it works really well for them. They block, like they schedule blocks where, like, they're just making calls, where they just doing a specific things. But if you're all over the place and you don't know what to do, and you're always overthinking and overly concerned, that you're not going to be able to be productive. So you do need to first of all have a plan, and that's why I see when the realtors work together, they have mentors, it help in that sense. Now, if you have a plan, and that's when the problem comes in, right? Like, that you have to do, I don't know, 20 calls, right?
Right.
But then at the moment when you are picking up that phone, and then you, like, the stress kicks, like the fear, like all this fear, can be fear of rejection, or it can be fear of, you know what I mean? Then that's a challenge. That's like a red flag where you need to look at that and say, okay, I do have the plan. I know what I need to do, yet I'm not doing it because all these fears, right, are now kicking in, and I'm not able to be productive. Then that's when that's a red flag that something deeper is going on, that there is that fear that is paralyzing you. And then instead of, like, because some people, they go through, like, they fuel through that, like, right, they push themselves, but some people they can't because they become overwhelmed, right? Like the stress takes over, right? It's like fight or flight response, it takes over, and now you can't do anything. So in that case, you do need somebody, like in my case, like a coach, a life coach, because it's not the lack of planning. It's not like you don't have a business plan. It's not like you don't have a marketing plan. You just cannot execute it because there's something within yourself that is blocking you, and that's causing a lot of anxieties, a lot of stress. And then you need to address that, because you can continue, like, doing business coaching, but if you're not able to execute it, then there's something else happening. And it can be something like imposter syndrome is one of those things. And we talk a lot about that, and some people say, oh, don't mention it, like we should not feel like we have, but it is a reality, and so we need to address it, right? So because if you are not able to see that something is paralyzing you, something is blocking you, and it's causing all this anxiety, all this stress, is not allowing you to be productive, you need to take control over that. And
Right.
choices, there's many different choices, so it can be related. It sometimes it's not even related to business. It has nothing to do with business. It had to do with something else, that had happened to you, and that accumulated a stress that created a trigger point, and now we address that trigger.
Right. It's funny that you bring that up because, and for all the realtors out there, especially like newer realtors, like you said, like, and that happened, that was my issue, right? My issue was I had all the education, I had all the training, but when I would get into the room to make those calls, it was like paralyzing. And
Yeah.
people would say, oh my God, Eileen, but you're so like social, and you're so like, all over the place. But there was just something that when I had to make the cold calls, I just it would stress me. I just wouldn't do it. Right. I
You say,
would just, you know what? I'm not doing this. And but I didn't, but this is the problem, right? You don't know what you don't know, right? And I didn't know. I just thought that was normal. That's who I am. That's how I work, right? I didn't know that I could work on that, and that was an issue that was bigger than just me being scared of picking up the phone.
yes, and it was, and you saw that it was,
Right,
right?
right, right. Like
It the work.
we did work together, yeah, and it was so crazy because like what affected me as an adult was something that happened when I was so young. Yeah, it was still there, right? So I mean, I feel like that's like the biggest thing, like, right, if anyone gets anything from this video, is sometimes you don't even know what it is. You think that it's just normal because you've been living like this, right? But it's when you start asking questions and you start doing research and you start talking to, other people and, coaches and people outside, because sometimes with realtors, what we do is we get ourselves in a little cocoon, right? And we only deal with the real estate industry, right? So it's all the coaches are real estate. Everything is just real estate. It becomes our lifestyle. But in order for me to have found that, I had to get outside of real estate, which was you, right? That dealt with a different type of coaching to help
That,
my stress.
yep. And then that's how you realize. And I remember, having, working with you and many, many, many realtors is like that realization, like, oh my God, that happened 20 years ago. How is that possible? That's still affecting me. Well, because, 90% of our reactions are subconscious. Like we're not 100%, always, we don't know, always know what's going on behind the scene, in your system. Something can get triggered, something trigger you, a phrase, a comment that somebody made can trigger that fear, and then you're back to that little child who was yelled or who was humiliated or who was embarrassed, or the teacher say something wrong, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's a reality. And some people say, well, that insane, I can't control it, I can't control that, like that doesn't affect me, it happened so long ago. But guess what? Yes, it does affect. It's affecting you, and it's affecting your pocket. That's the thing. It's not just a wishy-washy thing. Oh, yes. Yes, it is important. Like mental health, emotional well-being is extremely important. If you don't take care of yourself, like your pocket's gonna suffer basically. But it's a financial impact too.
Right.
You see? It's
Right.
impact finance, because if you are paralyzed, the moment you pick up that phone and there is that fear, it can be like, for instance, triggering a fear of rejection for something that happened and you don't even remember. That's the thing, because it's a trigger, it's a subconscious trigger, you don't remember, but it is affecting you, it's affecting your career, it's affecting your family, it's affecting your well-being. And so we need to start looking at these things differently. We really need to educate ourselves in terms of, like, it's not what you see. The stress is just a symptom that something deeper is taking place in your subconscious mind,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. So, like for me, it was fear of rejection. One of the things I keep hearing in the office, because a few people see you, is the benefit of boundaries, right? So how do boundaries play a part in this as well?
It's huge. I mean, boundary is one of those things. Like one of my main pillars that I teach my clients is setting boundaries. But here's the deal with boundaries. A lot of people don't even know what boundaries are,
Right.
right? That there's not a, like, people, you ask them and the majority will say, "Oh, well, there's a limit." Yes, but a limit to what? Like, what's the limit? And so, and the thing with boundaries is they're messy. Boundaries are messy because they're not like a clear cut. It's not like a line that you see, right? That, I mean,
Right.
in certain situation there is that like clear line, but certain situations that they're not,
Right.
right? So clear. Yes, healthy boundaries is extremely important. And so boundaries are interesting and messy because they're subjective. What does subjective means? Subjective means that what is important to me and what's acceptable to me might not be acceptable to you,
Right.
and vice versa. Like something that you're doing that you might think is in your mind is acceptable to you, it might be crossing my boundaries because that is not acceptable to me. And so boundaries are subjective,
Mm-hmm.
and because they're subjective, they're not easy to set. The other thing is, growing up especially, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm, como se llama, picking on like a group, but as a Latinos, we don't have boundaries the majority of the time. I mean, I have situations where like family members are dropping in my house without telling me they're coming, right? So that's a cross of boundaries, and we try to set boundaries with our, because we're so close as family and we don't want to lose that. We want to still be close, but we do need set boundaries. We need and another challenge with setting boundaries, so that's the first challenge, is like we're not being taught that you have the right or you have the choice to say no. Like
Right.
no is a word,
Right.
right?
Right.
But then there's something else that happened. Is like this fear, like of saying no because I feel guilty. Like somehow I'm gonna hurt you. Somehow, yeah.
Oh my
Nelly.
God, let me tell you, it's my mom saying no to my, because you know the Hispanic moms like to guilt you. So my mom would call me and she would guilt me, like for to do something or to go someone's birthday or party or whatever. And it was always so hard to say no to her, right? And it would affect my life, right? Because my schedule, I have this, I have that. It would be so like stressful.
Entrepreneur, when you're entrepreneur, it's like, like they don't see you have like a real job. And
Yeah,
so
they think you're like always
they,
available.
I know, it's a real shit. It's a real thing.
But I guess I didn't even know I was setting a boundary, but I ended up, telling her. I said, "Ma, I can't. I stop trying to guilt me. If I can make it, I will make it. If I can't, I will call them and say happy birthday or whatever it is that I'm missing." But like it was always so stressful to like hear her, "Hi, but how are you not gonna go?" And this and this and that. And I always would say yes, but then it would
Yeah,
interfere.
que tú no apareces en ningún lado.
Yes, yes,
It's a, Nelly was saying that is boundaries that she learned. Nelly Soto is an amazing woman, one of my amazing clients. She said, I just learned boundary in my 40s, and it's a game changer, because it is a changer. But it's also understanding, like, why is it that we're not setting boundaries? Because part of what you're saying, the guilt, but also it's like not just guilt, like people shame you
yes,
like into doing things. They shame you, like, oh, you're not going to, like they make that donation because like they're gonna make you feel like really bad about certain things. And people also that knows you for like a long time, now they know what you respond to, and they will use those things to guilt you into doing things, right? So the idea is I call that we have two type of boundaries, and don't quote me. I don't know if you're gonna find this in a book or anything, but through my learning and through working with all these amazing ladies and those is amazing, I work with men as well and even teenagers. There are two type of boundaries that I notice. Is like what is called the inner boundary. Those
mhm,
boundaries that you set with yourself. For instance, right? Like if you said, okay, this is my goal. I want to reach this. This is how much money I want to make, right? And for that, you have the business plan, but you see that something is blocking you. So that's on you now, right? It's
right,
on you because now you see that there is something that is happening. So your job with your own boundaries is finding help. Okay, this thing is not helping me. So let me find ways in which I can like look for professional help.
right,
And part of like the issue with mental health, emotional health, and well-being is, and I see again in our culture, I'm not picking on you, but it's true. It's like this idea that I should be able to somehow manage it. Like I should be able to know these things. And here's the truth. The truth is that if you have a cancer, or if you have a cardiovascular disease or something, you will never think of taking care of that yourself. You would go to a freaking
right,
doctor to do that. So why in heaven do you think you should know how to deal with this?
right,
Obviously, if these 90% of the things that if we, the impulsivity, the reaction, like 90% of our decision and reaction are subconscious, meaning 90% of the time you don't even know where you're doing that or where you're saying that or where you're acting like that, right? So
right,
if I were you, I'd be concerned. I'd be like, I need to find out. Like I need to take control over my life and over my success,
right,
right? Because yes, I always say that to feel bad about yourself, there's not much you have to do. You
right.
will, by listening sometimes with your own family, you feel awful about yourself, right? That's so sad.
Sometimes just thinking your own thoughts
Yes.
sometimes are if you haven't worked on training your thoughts, your own thoughts will be your worst enemy.
Which is a huge part of this whole thing. And
Hmm.
so imagine now, like happiness, success, it takes work. It
Right,
doesn't come, it does takes work. It start with awareness, meaning it start with you. You need to become aware of your own behavior, of your own feeling. And the truth is that majority of people are afraid of feeling. I know because I was there too. For a long time, I always say for 22 years, I live in this space where I was very afraid. I suffer from clinical depression. I had eating disorder challenges. I have all these challenges, and the truth is that that thinking like that's normal, like feeling like this is normal because that's how I felt most of my life. Yes, and
Right.
then realizing, wait a minute, because again I start asking questions. I'm very I observe, and then I realized, oh my God, this is not normal. Not everybody feels this way. And then it's taking responsibility, boundaries, inner boundary is taking responsibility for your actions. It's taking responsibility and accountability for your life. And it's stop blaming people for your shortcoming. And that not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that because it's easier to blame other people. And so that's inner boundary, taking responsibility and accountability for your life. You see, now outer boundaries is like outer boundaries, how I handle other people coming into my life, how I handle my circle.
Right.
Yes. And is, for instance, you want to spend time with your family? Well, schedule that time, right? Like they need to see you too. Yes.
Right.
So that's outer boundary, like taking people into consideration. But also when people ask you to do stuff, and I want you to think it this way, like for you guys who are listening, this is like, if you take anything from this would be it. You should be writing this. Is every yes and every no you say basically create your life experience. Every
Mm.
yes and every no you say. Now think about how many times have you said yes to something that it should be a no, and how that impacted your life. Those things have consequences, you see. And
Mm-hmm.
so if that, but now if you're thinking like you're feeling guilty for saying no, that's a red flag that you need to like take care of. That you need to like, okay, like why am I feeling guilty? Why am I allowing my mom or whoever to drag me into this guilt trip, right?
Right. Right. Which all leads to stress, right? Because it's
Extremely.
it's something that it's something we don't want to do, but we just push ourselves to do it.
Sometimes
Um.
so many
So
that we are like overwhelmed.
right. So a lot of times with us as well, like we're always running, right? So we don't have time. We may be stressed, but we don't even like take a moment to really like analyze how we're feeling until we burn out, right? Until we just get sick or our body can't anymore. Um, what are some things we can do to kind of take a moment and kind of see what's going on in our life? Like, what's something that you would say? Is it meditation? Is it blocking time to ourselves? What would you say?
So first thing, and Nelly just hit the nail in the head. She's talking about how self-worth plays into boundaries, but it's really how it plays into everything. And here's the thing. You can say, okay, I need, first of all, you would make time for what's important, right?
Yeah.
Like an excuse that we say, "Well, I don't have time. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time for this. I don't have time." You make time for what's important. And so if you are putting yourself in the back burner, usually what's the problem is really, then we have an issue with self-worth, not with self-confidence. It's a total different animal here, self-worth. Because you would not do something good. Think about it. If you don't like somebody very much, you're not going to do something nice for that person. I mean, you're not gonna go the extra mile. Like you can do something nice, but you're not gonna go to the extra mile. So the fact that you're saying that you don't have time for yourself, that is a huge red flag. That's huge because if something happened to you, like basically that's it. That's it. And even a car needs maintenance, right? And so the human, if you're saying that you don't have time for yourself, that's a bigger problem. You really should be talking to me, like ASAP, because that's a huge red flag that something deeper is really happening. So the first thing what to do is awareness. It's checking in with yourself. It's being honest with yourself. Like you saw you have a problem. There was a challenge. At the beginning, it was like when you came, it was like, okay, I have a challenge in my job, like in my, like I need to produce more, right? But then we discovered that that was just a symptom. There was a bigger challenge, right? And then we worked on that. I always talked about the root cause. So it start with awareness. It start making yourself a priority. Now, if you feel like making yourself a priority is selfish, because a lot of people do say that, oh, that's selfish, do my kids come first, but this come first, my business. Like, but you need to come first, because without you, none of that's going to take place, right?
Right.
And so taking care of yourself should be a priority. It's not a selfish thing to do. Because think about it this way. If you're always saying yes, if you're always running around, if you feel like you're not appreciated, because half of the time you're doing way not appreciated, you're stressed like, right? There's gonna be a point where like you're not gonna be very pleasant.
Right.
That's just a reality. You're gonna
Right.
be irritated. You're gonna be, sometimes snapping, screaming at your kids, screaming, like things gonna take place, something is gonna happen, right? And so those are symptoms that something else is taking place. So become aware, be honest with yourself. How long have you been doing? How long is this sustainable? Do you think this is sustainable? Right?
Right.
If you are burnt out, like then who's gonna pay the bills? So it's really, really taking an inventory of your life. How many years have I been doing this? Who am I serviced by doing this? Like, who benefits if I'm irritated, if I'm unpleasant? Not even my clients will benefit, because they can project. You think that nobody sees that you project that stuff. You do
Right. Right. Right.
feel it. And so it's becoming aware. Now, once you become aware, and then it's first of all, sleep is a huge part of
Mm,
it. You need to sleep. You need to be able to sleep your hours, right? Some people sleep more than other people. So it's different for everybody. So sleep is a huge part of that. If you're having issue with sleep, then you have to go see a professional. It's extremely important that you do. um, then eating well,
right.
right? Like what you're eating is creating an impact in your system. If you're eating way hard, that is going to slow you down. So
Right.
be a water intake. A lot of people don't even take water. They don't,
Oh my God. That's me. Hold on. Let me drink some.
and I'm drinking my own. And so there's things that are very practical that is within your
Right.
control. Like you can start things, but you need to start being consistent with this thing. It's not like I'm gonna do it now and then 3 months later I'm gonna remember that, oh my God, I'm dehydrated, I'm sick, my stomach is turning, I have issues, right?
Right.
Somebody's asking about meditation. Yes. So and when in exercising, and so one of the things that, for instance, for me, because I'm not, and I, like I really want to be honest, I'm not a huge exercise type of person. I love stretching. I do. I love my walks. I'm a gardener. I do a lot of gardening,
Right.
right? But I go to, like, for instance, a gym. Maybe some people will say, well, you should. Well, that's everybody's personal. But the thing is to stay active. However, like whatever works for you. But one of the things that I say that has saved my life is meditation. I make the time to meditate every day. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. And that's my time for myself. I don't take anybody if it needs to happen. If for any reason I cannot meditate that day during that time, then I give myself 10 minutes in between clients to do my meditation.
Mm,
It's extremely important. And meditation is something that you can learn. Some people say, well, it's like my mind is crazy. They are guided
mhm,
meditation. Like if
mhm,
you DM me,
mhm.
I will send you some tips on that, and I also will send you like guided meditation that you can do, because I don't recommend every guided meditation out there, because they are subliminal messages into your subconscious mind, so you have to be careful what
Really?
you're doing. So I always recommend that. Now escaping my mind, but if you DM me and send me your email, I'll make sure that I send it, because these are free things you can do.
Right.
um, and you can like listen to this while you go to sleep, and they help you sleep. You see? So if you haven't meditated ever, you can also start with like something like 5 minutes of breathing.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's like things that you can do, right?
Right.
You don't
Right.
know how to meditate? Well, we need to teach you how to meditate, Joanna. I will.
We're gonna have a meditation series.
And but it's also like we can start with, for instance, let me show you 1 second. And you're familiar with this my little spray, right?
Mhm.
My serenity spray. And so is as simple as engaging your senses. I call it centering. Yes, it's just start with, and just start with taking a deep breath. And this is how I explain it. You take a breath for your core. Your core is like that part of in your stomach, right? And then you, and it's so interesting because intuitively speaking, when you are stressed, you do that kind of stuff. Like you just sometimes you just stop and
Right.
almost
Right.
going intuitively. But I want you to be intentional about it. It's called cleansing breath. Yes, I love, yeah, that's right too. Cleansing breath. And so what you do is and you can do this in the bathroom, you can do this in between clients. You could, like, this is not something that you need to spend like an hour doing,
Like I've
but
I've
you can.
done it because you know where I feel so hectic sometimes and like so like all over the place that I'm like, all right, Aileen, hold on, and I'll give myself like a minute or two to kind of breathe, and then all right, tackle like put make a list and try to tackle everything because sometimes you're just like all over, right? And that breath, just breathing, and like you said, it sent like I didn't know that's what it's called, but I guess centering yourself, it helps, right? Because it slows you down so that you can kind of make a plan of what you're gonna tackle next.
Yeah, and it's like I call it centering yourself and doing some cleansing breath. Breathing is critical, and we don't breathe enough because we had what is called shallow breathing,
Mm-hmm.
because computers, so we are, like kind of this way. And so the idea is to, the first thing is stop, like like literally, literalmente stop everything you're doing.
Right.
Stop your body, right? Stop. And then and like in my house, I have my little corner where I have my little chair where I do this meditation. In here in my studio, I have my space where I have created, and now I have my holiday boutiques where I actually, carry this parade for people to get the incense, the candles. You can create a little bit of a space. You don't have to spend crazy money. It's just creating that sort of a space will make you feel centered, will make you feel zen, relaxed, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you stop, and if you can sit, you can sit, you sit down, put your feet on the ground, like grounded, like a tree. You feel grounded like a tree, right? And then you take a cleansing breath from your core, like stomach, deep first, intentional, like, and you can even think about like that client who's giving you a hard time, or that person getting such a mess in your life. Don't do this while you're driving, right? And then you take that deep breath and you hold it just a little bit, not forcing yourself, but enough that you can feel the pause. And then you start blowing out like you're putting a candle down, or you are landing a plane. It's almost like you're taking all this toxicity out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
when you cry. People are afraid to cry, but crying is a great release toxicity,
Right.
right? Breath. You can do that. The first time you do it, don't do it too much because it gets you. Sometimes you feel dizzy.
Yes, yes, it's happened to me. It's
Yeah.
happened.
So you start testing yourself first. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can do deep breath to begin with if you haven't done it, right? And then you feel. But I want the people to imbibe right now, if you can, if you're not driving, to do that and to feel it, because there is a change in your system when you do this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like take a deep. So let's center yourself, put your feet in the ground, and then put your torso like upward, not like this, like intentionally upward. And then just take a deep breath from the core. Hold it just a bit and then let go, like blowing a candle.
Mm.
And just stay there with your eyes closed. And notice. It's almost like what do you notice, Eileen?
I hear like the rain, just like calmness.
Yeah. And so imagine you do that only with one breath.
Mm.
One breath and it's free.
Right.
Free. But you have to be intentional about it. And so if you don't know how to meditate, meditation begins with becoming aware of your
Mm.
breathing. You see, breathing is extremely critical.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do teach my clients, we go through and you know this, a process, right? And there is a process when I teach you like the breathing, like the basic things, basic things. And then I will teach you a little more, right, as you advance. But the idea is that within your body has everything that you need for healing.
Right.
But you is a lack of not knowing really. But it really takes, I believe they call it the 21-second rules, where like that breath lasts 21 seconds, like really short amount
Mm-hmm.
of time, and that will have an impact in your nervous system. You see?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, honestly, if more people just stopped and did that, I think everyone would be less stressed.
And everybody will be less irritated. And let's
Right.
see that after the pandemic, is like there is I believe people are more irritated than before because we went to a traumatic event, like global traumatic event. And I don't think that there is a huge, like people are talking about this in the way that we need to be talking about. Like people still dealing with like the fact that they lost people,
Mm-hmm.
grieving, string like fears. We went through a lot of fear during that period of time globally, right? And so there is a global, a collective effect that is taking place. And people you can see, they're easier to snap at you, to say something that caught you like in traffic. Like people are more prone to stress and anger now more
Mm-hmm.
than
I
before. And that's a
turn on the news and you'll see, what you're talking
like
about, all the violence, everything that's going on.
hmm. And so we really like, again, the inner boundary of taking responsibility and accountability for your life is extremely important. Only you know how you feel. If like sometimes you go and talk to somebody about what you're experiencing, and if you're not talking to the right person, that's going, no, tú no estás bien, mira, ve, tú estás bien, ¿verdad que sí? O limón con miel. Ya, vete, tú sabes. You have to know when you need help. Only you
Right.
know, you know?
And let me tell you, like, so ever since I did work on myself, it's weird because once you do work on yourself, you see it in other people, right? And I tell everyone, oh my God, you need to work on that, or you need to call this person, or you need to do that, right? Because you can see it, but if you don't know it, you don't see it, right? So for me, it's almost like I didn't know and no one told me, right? So for me, like my job is to say, if I see someone, it's like, have you worked on that? Like it might be something more than just that. Instead of saying like what you said, oh, just suck it up. Like
Yeah,
you'll go over it. No, because it might be something deeper that, because the reality is when you have your friends really don't tell you everything, they just tell you the outer. So you just imagine what they're really going through.
yeah. I mean, there is this need as humans. We have this need for love and connection. We have the need for and everybody needs to feel important and seen, not invisible. And so sometimes we don't say anything or don't share because there's that fear of that Are they going to still like me? Are they going to still accept me? You know what I mean? And so it's a real thing. It's a psychological thing, and it has real impact. And we really like, again, your life should be your responsibility. I mean, we can blame the job, and we can blame the boss, and we can blame the economy and whatever, or the market shifted. But in reality, you are responsible for taking care of your life and how you react to things. Because let's face it, things are going to happen every day. Challenges are going to take place every day. If you're breathing and alive, you're going to face challenges. So it's up to you to see how you approach those challenges. And if you don't have the tools, because you need tools to approach challenges in a healthy manner, then you need to go ahead and be responsible and say, okay, well, where can I find the tools?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
it. You say, okay, I'll have a try. I need.
Yeah. So we can keep on this. Let's see if anyone has questions. So guys, if you have questions, put it in the question chat box. I don't have any on my end. But all right, so to wrap it up, kind of full circle, right? So we're gonna, everything that we spoke about, I kind of jotted down, also for myself, right? So the first thing is make time for yourself, right? Make yourself a priority, right?
Yes.
Sleep, eat well, drink water, meditate, or exercise, whichever one works for you.
And hire a coach.
Yes, yes. Right. So first you have to be aware, right? And then the second one is setting boundaries, inner and outer boundaries, right? And then the third one, which is really where a coach would fit in, I want to say, is have a plan, right? Now that you know these things, and now that you found that something's wrong, what are you going to do? Is it a coach? Is it whatever it might be, right? But again, guys, you get a free call with Judy. Take advantage of it. You'll get a lot of information. Um, and everyone knows I am a true believer in working on yourself. So reach out to us, reach out to Judy. Any questions you have? Is there anything that you want to say, Judy? Before, I do have two announcements before we end, but on this topic, is there anything else you want to say to wrap it up?
No, basically, you mentioned everything. It's really taking care of yourself. It comes down to taking responsibility for your life. Taking care of yourself is taking responsibility for your life. Nobody's going to solve these challenges. These challenges only you know what you're dealing with mentally, emotionally, financially. So it's up to you to take care of them. Nobody, as much as they love you and as much as they want to see you well, because nobody lives within yourself, like only you know what you're dealing with, and you are responsible for finding a solution and finding help and asking for help. And so
Right.
don't be ashamed of asking for help. But that's the other thing with women's, especially strong, opinionated, intelligent, savvy business women, is like, oh, I should be able to deal with this myself. Why?
Right. Women, and I want to say also men, because men don't even, at least women, like I was actually talking to Joel about this, and it's so true. I've never even thought about this, but women, we usually have like our friends, right? That we kind of talk to kind of relieve some stress and kind of just get it out, right? So at least we get it out a little bit somehow, right? With
Mhm.
men, they don't even talk about it. They just figure out how they can fix it, right? So with men, it's just a matter of like they even have to start, even they're at another level where they really have to like figure out, okay, there's a problem, because to
At
them it's
the,
just like
at,
I'm just gonna fix it.
at the beginning, when I started, I was only working with women, and then the women start sending me their husbands and
Yeah.
like for me to fix them. It's like it's very hard, especially Latino men. It's hard for them to talk about emotions and how they feel about things, um, and some men are almost embarrassed to do so. They don't know how, and so it's like I make it easy for them, right? So it's easy when because first of all, I acknowledge it. I say I know that you don't want to be here. I know it's uncomfortable for you, and they say, "Oh my God, yes!" And then right there, like you can see, like, oh. Yes, and then we take it from there. But it's a huge mental health and emotional well-being. It's something that we don't. Yes, it's like a boss where everybody, like kind of tackling, but sometimes not to like the level that needs to be talked about, like, you know what I mean. It's really deep, and we really need to help our people, especially after the pandemic. Is there's a lot of people hurting, um, and suicidal rates went up for teenagers, so it's a real issue. It's real, it's serious. So we need to, if we are not able to be centered and clear and invest in our own well-being, how can we help our kids?
Right, right. So there you go, guys. The Real Project has you covered. We have the person for you, so reach out. um, so to wrap it up, I do have two announcements for the
I have
people.
an announcement
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Well, one of my announcements is part of yours. So the first
Woo!
one is, guys, we're having our Halloween ball on October 25th. I am super excited about this. I'm always looking to get dressed up, and I never have anywhere to go. So so we made a party and we're getting all dressed up. So we have an early bird special until October 10th, $150. Remember, this includes open bar, music, food, dancing, everything. It's an amazing networking event. So make sure to get your tickets. And the second one is that, well, Judy, not only is she a coach, she's also an author. And this is her new book, not her only book. This is her new book, because she does have another book. So tell us a little bit about the book, Judy.
I'm trying to do it the right way because backwards last life. So basically, this book is an anthology. The anthology is a compilation of stories. So these are 21 women who are writing about their stories, about their success, about their victories, but also about their struggle. We have realtors, we have mortgage, we have our K2 who is here, we have Jackie is who is part of Jacqueline Basket, who is part of the book, who is here as well. Nelly Soto, who is here as well. She's one of the authors. And the book, it was just released and is a hit already. 25 different categories. We are breaking the internet. We actually
Amazing.
topple the Arnold Schwarzenegger book is the third. We are first.
Nice.
Crazy, going insane. I think I haven't eaten for like 2 days because stomach, like, it's basically what's going on. It's so exciting. And why is the book is important is besides, amplifying the voices of our leaders. These are women that are leader in their field. And if any one of you, Chris Melly, Janet Pagan también está en el libro. She's part here. She's here. Claudia, I
Oh,
know.
I love Claudia.
Claudia is part of, if I'm not mentioning any, like, if any of you are there and I don't see you, please put a comment so that I can see you and acknowledge you. But this is an amazing book because it's tackling at a very stressful point, which is underrepresentation, right? And how underrepresentation, which is invisibility, and as I told before, one of the human needs is the need to significance. They need to know that I'm seen. They need to know that I matter. They need to know that I have an opinion, right? How underrepresentation is really impacting our communities. Not being able to have a good role model out there for people to see, like as a Latina. So 21 women, 20 of these women are Latinas and are my dear gringa, which I love her, like she's in my heart, Rosemary, who is also my client. She is the only Caucasian in the book, not because I didn't want more, that she was the only one who said yes. We do another book, like I'm looking for you ladies, from any ethnicity, from every ethnicity, because we really need to come together. We really need to, as a community, to deal with these challenges that are really affecting us. It's affecting us, women's in general. Like if you look at on TV, if there's one woman, there's two men, right? So it's like that underrepresentation. I was doing research and women's Latinas and Latinos front in front and behind the camera. Like we are 90% of the United States population right now. And yo pienso que mal contado because we know we're more,
Right.
right? And only 7% of Latinos are in front of behind the camera, and only 3% of Latinas. And so there's not enough Latinos culture, books. There's not enough printed media, not enough shows that really show a role model
Right.
of like who are we as a community, like thriving, business savvy community. And so the book is like trending like crazy. Like I knew it would be crazy, but I was not ready for this. We hit 25 different categories. We're now bestseller in the United States. We're bestseller in Mexico as well. And it's keep going. So I think that you guys are gonna post
Yeah.
something where like,
So guys, if you want to buy the book, we're gonna put the link in. We're gonna post the link so that you guys can buy the book, and you can start reading these amazing stories. The great part is that a lot of them are here. They work with us. They're in this area. So, um,
yeah, working with Carol and Karina, the K2 lab,
yeah, the
your
K2
friend.
team. They're part of the Real Project.
Claudia is your friend. Like we know
Claudia, yeah.
that.
So it's nice to see that,
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, what they say, you are the people you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with powerful women, right, then you're just gonna become one of them, right? Because you
yeah.
just pushed into it. So
And it's
guys,
99 cents, Eileen, for now. Limited time, 99 cents. Okay.
oh my
So this
God.
is
So guys,
and we are going insane. So
yes.
get the
So
book.
guys, 99, it's on sale for now. It's going to be 99 cents. We're going to put the link once we finish this. Make sure to get it. And inbox Judy if you have any questions. And we hope to see you soon, guys. If there's any topics, this is the Real Chat series, so we're going to have a lot more topics. If there's any topics that you would like for us to cover, let us
We're
know.
gonna be
And
doing this more often, right? Like we're gonna be doing
yeah, so
it often.
the more topics we get, the more we'll go live and see how we can help everyone. At the end of the day, it's all about, tackling these issues and pushing people forward. All right,
Amen.
guys.
Let's do it.
Thank you
Well,
so much, Judy.
thank you for having your beautiful comments and te quiero mucho, mi bella. Te,
Bye.
me cuidan todos. Bye bye.